Today we are working on the Flying V that I sold 5 or 6 years ago. Came back into the shop and we're going to do some work to it. So the first thing we're going to do to this is build a new neck. This is the neck that came off of it, and I'm going to build a new one for it. It's going to get the same peghead design. I'm going to take this fretboard off and put the fretboard on the new neck here. I'm going to go ahead and put binding around the fretboard, and I'm going to put binding around the peg head. I might even paint the peg head to match the body. I'm not sure yet, but I think the body's getting painted red still, so it's getting repainted here. So anyways, this is my blank that I glued up, and it's going to get the same peg head design like I said, and it's ready to, I got it marked out for ready to get over to the bandsaw and cut it out. So we'll go cut it out rough on the bandsaw, we'll come back, take our router, route the sides down smooth, shape the peg head, get it shaped down where it needs to be, and then from there we can drill some holes for the tuners and then get ready to pull this fretboard off of this neck. Okay, so we took our maple blank over and cut it out rough in the bandsaw, and now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some MDF and we're going to double stick it onto here, and then we can route our sides of our neck down to where they're flush. And then take that off, take this thing over to the spindle sander and sand this thing down to the profile we want. And then from there, I think we're going to go ahead and drill some tuner holes. And at that point, we're going to be ready to pull this rosewood fretboard off and glue it onto here. Of course, we have to install a truss rod too. So here's our neck. We went ahead and routed the sides down smooth. We took the peg head over to the spindle sander and got it smoothed down. So this is going to be the final shape of the neck. Now, this will be over one, like I said. This one does not have an angle on it at all. It's a straight, like a fender style. And this one here, I put a 15-degree angle on it. And the reason I did that is now I don't have to put string tees up on here. With this angle, the strings pulling back will have enough pressure that you won't have to put the string tees like this on it. So I got a 15-degree angle on it, and basically we're done except for shaping the back of it. We're going to go ahead right now and drill our 6 tuner holes in right here, and then we're going to install the truss rod. And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to do a binding channel too. We're going to do a binding channel around the peg head because we're putting binding around the peg head. So we'll put the binding channel on, we'll drill the holes, then we'll install the truss rod, and at that point, it's take this fretboard off, pull all the frets out, pull the nut out, pull the fretboard off, we'll sand it down, get the back sanded down and everything, and get ready to install this fretboard on this neck. So we're getting ready to drill my 6 tuner holes here. So what I've done was I marked where my 2 outside strings are going to sit, which is basically 1/8 of an inch in from the edge of the neck here. Then I come back and drew a straight line of where the string would run down so I can mark my first tuner, so I keep that string straight. Now because of the way the peg head's set up, as each string goes it's going to start angling over because the peg head is made that way. So this string here is going to come and angle across, it won't go straight up, but that's fine. Okay, so once I got my first tuner hole marked, I went ahead and measured 1/2 inch back from the edge, drew a straight line, then came in between and marked 1 inch in between each tuner. So the center of the tuner hole is going to be 1 inch apart. And now that I got all that done, it's basically ready to take over to the drill press and drill 6 tuner holes. Okay, so I took my neck over to the drill press and I drilled 6 1/8 inch holes. Basically, they're pilot holes. Now what I can do is come back with my 13/32 drill bit and drill the holes out using these pilot holes as guides. Now, whenever I'm drilling peghead holes like this, where I got to drill the whole way through the wood, I go ahead and put a piece of masking tape on the back of the peghead, and that tends to help with the wood blowing out. And what I mean is, if you take this over and drill a hole through, or at least a bigger hole through the peghead here, what happens is sometimes it'll take a chunk of wood out of the back of the piece of wood you're drilling. So you put a piece of masking tape on there, and that tends to help that process. Another thing I do is I'll take this neck and I'll clamp it down to another piece of wood, so whenever I drill down through, it's going into another piece of wood, so that'll also help with the wood blowing out there. So we're back from the drill press, and we got our 6 tuner holes drilled in there. We got the tape off the back. And there you can see nice clean holes on the front and some nice clean holes on the back. So now we're ready to route a binding channel around this peghead. So we're going to head over to the routing table and route a binding channel. Okay, so as we can see here on the peghead, I got my binding channel routed in. And this here is the inlay material we will be putting on it. It's a plastic binding, but it's mother of pearl. You can see that. So anyways, we're going to cut it like around these corners right here. You can't really bend it around this corner and around the ends like this, so we'll probably just cut small pieces here, use some acetone, put it on, put a piece here, cut it, acetone it on, put a piece here, cut it, and then on this bottom piece across here, we could probably use one piece on there. So it's going to end up being 4 pieces on here to get this peghead bound up. Okay, so I got my binding installed on the peghead, and I got it taped off here. And now what's going on is I ran out of binding. I don't have enough binding to bind both sides of the fretboard and the back. So we're just going to call it a day for now, and when we come back in the next part, we'll end up taking this fretboard off, putting binding around it, and getting it onto this neck and getting the back of the neck shaped. And what we're also going to do is start working on this body. Now, there's not a lot to do to this body. Basically, we got to route this neck pocket a little bit deeper, come back through, sand it, prime it, and repaint it. And the jack hole is up on top here. I think I'm going to move it back to the side, back in here somewhere. That's about all we're going to do to the body. The main thing with the body is just getting it painted. So in the next episode, we're going to get this fretboard off, get it bound, get it glued on here, and start working on this body. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in another video.